All right, I'm just gonna give you a little recap on the importance of getting biofilm out of or in the proximal areas of the teeth and why it can build up there. So when you brush or when you floss improperly, there's a lot of areas that biofilm can build up, but the most prominent one is the proximal areas because they're so embedded in between the teeth that only with proper technique can you actually assess them. So, if you were to describe, how do you, how do you floss currently? What do you do for flossing?
Just try to go in between each sides of my teeth on both sides for each tooth.
And do you go in like a C motion? How do you hold your?
No, I almost just kind of go down in there, maybe slide it back and forth a little bit and pull it back out.
So, what I could recommend for that is that instead of just like going back and forth and going back out, and also how do you hold your floss? Which also
Through my finger.
so the proper form to use of floss is with the middle finger. And what you do is you go in and you try to get the uh, areas in the sulcus and the proximal areas, and it is like a up and down motion. And the reason you wrap it around your fingers is so that you have more control and you can use your index fingers to adapt that control. Right. Um, so a good routine that I would suggest for flossing and brushing per day is that once in the morning and once at night keeps biofilm off the teeth pretty consistently. And there's these things called interdental aids. Basically, what they are is that based on the type of teeth you have, whether it's type 1, 2, 3, different aids can work for said teeth. Like, say, for example, you have like a bit further gaps, also known as the embrasure spaces between your teeth. There are certain tools that exist that would be for that. Because sometimes, depending on the tooth or the teeth of a person has, sometimes a regular toothbrush just isn't enough. Because there's just going to be debris that's there that's not going to be going away. And that's the case for flossing as well. Example would be like if you had like a toothpick and you were just like pick out the tooth. That's worked for some people. It's not recommended, but it has worked for some people. Water jet is another example. That is also one that works. But the one that I would recommend would be the floss pick, and basically you can really get into like those areas that you were talking about that were like you go in and out. You could be able to get in those areas and just and the bristles on it basically enable it to access all of those areas and more. So yeah.